Well, I think we're in for a severe period, January 21st through February 5th, overall for the United States. I think there'll be two major shots. The first one coming, directing itself toward the northeastern part of the United States as far as the deviations from normal next week. And then the following shot that comes in next weekend into the following week, the run up to the Super Bowl. Where, by the way, instead of having Bruno Mars, you have the groundhog, so everyone can boo him at halftime. I think that shot has a good chance to outdo anything we've seen this winter from most of the country, from the plains eastward, longer and stronger than what we've seen. And such a situation is something that we've been analoging of late to the 1985 Reagan inaugural outbreak. On that particular situation was a Super Bowl Sunday back in '85, and you had temperatures close to 30 below zero with the wind blowing. That's not the wind chill in Chicago. You had below zero into here. You had below zero almost to Atlanta. Froze the citrus in Florida, and we've paralleled these outbreaks. The December outbreak we paralleled to what happened around Christmas time of '83. In other words, what we did was we saw the weather maps, and they look like Christmas of '83, so we set that up. It happened to occur in the second week of December. This outbreak in the early part of the month, we were looking at January '94, and sure enough, it challenged those that particular outbreak. So this one has a chance to be worse than the other two, and a longer, stronger siege of cold weather for the United States on a whole. It's interesting, Todd, in that. You hate to be wrong about things. Of course, this hurricane season, I was the first one on the bandwagon for a big hurricane season, and everybody else sort of followed in, and we were out in March with it. But I was always bothered by one thing. I kept looking at the 1917 hurricane season. Several years ago, I'd done a speculation on the winters of 12-13 and 13-14, how they could turn out to be severe. And last winter really, at the second half of the winter on right into spring, was really something to watch happen. But that 1917 hurricane season, I could never figure out what the heck went on, because you had a La Nina going and there were only 4 storms. And so when I was corrected by the weather this year and figured out what happened with the hurricane season, I said, I'll be darned. That looks like that 1917, 1918 analog. And sure enough, with the help of my partner, Joe DeLeo, he got the reanalysis of the 1917 water temperatures in December, and they look like the water temperatures now. And so you basically were setting up one of the analogs to something back in 1917, 1918, and 1993, 94 was in the bunch. So what we do is we match the best of the computer models, but Joe and I are just freaks on what happened before and studying what happened before. I say, well, if you have the same setup, why wouldn't you have similar weather? And that's part of the reason we've seen this. Well, yeah, and we have this lined up. But, there's a saying, when you build the Alaskan Dam, the cold air says scram, pump the ridge, open the fridge. And this is stuff, I'm 58. So I'm telling you stuff that goes around for a long time. By pumping the ridge, it means you build a big upper air ridge into Alaska, and guess what? Down it comes on the other side. When you push the westerlies across Alaska, you push west winds across the United States. That's Pacific air, comes over the Rockies into the plains, dries out, it warms up. So I get a kick out of things that people who are discovering things we already have known for years and years. I'll give you an example now. The latest thing is that all the heat is hiding in the oceans. We're not warming up over the last 17 years. Well, Bill Gray wrote on this back in the 1970s. Dr. Gray, Colorado State. He's got a paper out, and I plug it all the time, Meridional Overturning Circulation and the Effect on the Climate. And that is that the ocean overturns all the time. When it's cooling at the top, it's warming down below, and vice versa. So people are discovering things that we've known, and the fact is that all this stuff that you're seeing, it's not. I am not that smart a guy. Okay, I think I'm pretty good at what I do, and the good Lord's blessed me. But the reason we're hitting this stuff is it's being dropped into our lap, just like Sandy was dropped into my lap. I paralleled it to the analogs with Hurricane Hazel, the kind of trough that developed there. So you got to understand, folks, if you study, you will see the similarities in the weather now and what happened before. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's as if that what happened before happens again. Now, of course, we are much more advanced today, and we are also a much more technical society where, for instance, Garrett, my son, he had a YouTube thing go viral because of the tornado that went through our backyard over here, and there he is out there filming it. Who would have seen that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? Someone's screaming, there's a tornado in central Pennsylvania. That never happens. I'm sure it's happened before, Yeah, I think so. My gut feeling is you're going to beat it by 5 to 10 degrees. Yeah, if you guys hit zero, wouldn't surprise me in the least. I think Dallas got to 15 with the last one. What I think is probably going to happen though is that there'll be equal distribution on that I-20 corridor. I always look at Atlanta versus Dallas, for instance, and Atlanta won the last one. Dallas won the first one back in December. And both of those may be equally cold this time. And I think there's going to be more of a threat to freeze the citrus in Florida, which is interesting because we got the citrus in California early in the year, and that may imply the lower Rio Grande Valley could be in trouble with this.